Good morning.
Good morning, Rushi.
Welcome to Health Tech with Purpose.
Thanks. It's really great to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So I want to start with how's your travel so far and how do you find Nashville?
I absolutely love Nashville. This is an amazing place. People are so friendly. It took us 48 hours to travel here from where I live in the southern tip of Africa, but it's worth it, definitely. I'll do that again.
Wow. So you traveled from Africa for ViVE.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing. So how's the overall response and how do you find the event so far?
I must say what really stands out is the conversations with transformational thinkers in health tech. There's a lot of passion out there to really transform health system and systems, not just in the US, and specifically with technology. And that's really exciting. Uh, Around our own goals, we've had some very good conversations. We're here for investment and we're here to open up the B2B side of the business. And yeah, it's amazing the response we get. And people just love the vision of what we want to do.
Awesome, awesome. So, to start off, I would like to know a bit more about you, your journey so far till this point.
Yeah, so I'm a coder. That's at heart.
Nice.
I still spend time for my own sanity, writing code now and again when I get a chance.
Awesome.
I've been in the software development industry, building products for more than 20 years now. Built a few companies in that space. The last 10 years in digital health. First with another startup, not mine, but I was one of the first employees there. And then about 3 years ago, we started with our current journey with Augmental. And what really drives me, that what I saw in digital health is the impact you can have on people's lives with technology. And that's the space really just grabbed me. And, that's where the seed was laid, with where we're at now. On a personal level, and you'll see where this ties in now when we talk about what we do. But my daughter has also struggled with anxiety since she was small. Much better now. She's a teenager now, and that, as well as other stories I saw around me, friends, family, where the kids maybe have autism or ADHD, where there's really challenges when it comes to care. Lots and lots of challenges, affordability, access to care. The parent actually being the primary caregiver
Yeah.
is the big thing there. Is that they're totally overwhelmed, unequipped, and that really was highlighted with these conversations, and that's where the seed was planted. That started this last 3 years of journey.
Amazing. So, on that note, would love to understand a little bit more about, what you guys are doing. What's the company about?
Yeah, so the company is Augmental Technologies. Um, and what we're really about, our overarching mission is to transform family mental well-being. So we specifically focus on the parents of children that has or that's struggling with and might not even be diagnosed yet with autism, ADHD, anxiety, depression, and related kind of mental health complexities. Um, and what we're offering to them is um, AI-driven, personalized parent training. So what I mean with parent training is really very short micro learning style, short video guides that we deliver to the parent that gives them practical coping strategies to deal with things like, for example, if they might have an autistic kid who's very sensitive, sensory wise, how do you prepare that child before you go out shopping with them? Those are things that it looks like small things, but there's a massive impact on the child's mental state and the parents. And there's that narrow connection between the parent's stress and anxiety and a child. So that's why we're focusing on the parents. So we're equipping them with situational content like that. We're also equipping them in material that can support their own well-being. If they're not in a right mental state, they can't learn and they can't apply it. They're not able to deal with, say, a meltdown or something like that. So that's why we also focus on that. And the personalization aspect is really where we use, our various data points that we get from journaling, from maybe tracking progress of the child over time, from the kind of medication. There's some clinical assessments on the companion app, and we use that data to really drive what's the best next personal engagement that we can recommend to the parent. So it might be video content, it might be a mindfulness exercise, it might be just giving them feedback, saying, "Listen, you're doing okay."
Yeah.
Positive psychology is one of the therapeutic modalities that we use, and the content that we deliver around how to manage a child or certain specific aspects are all based on behavioral therapy, therapeutic kind of content.
Interesting. One of the key aspects here, and especially I see this in India as well, is awareness,
Yes,
especially awareness of parents about a condition in their child, and realization that this has to be treated, and there is a solution over it. I think that's like a very big space that needs to be catered, and I think you are trying to kind of cater that as well, right?
that's correct. We just said the other day in February we had a bit of strategic session. Everybody's involved in company, and what we realized then is this concept of parent training. Um, Clinicians, health insurers, employers are not aware of it.
Yeah.
The American Academy of Pediatricians recommend parent training as a first line clinical intervention for a lot of these conditions above medication, but it's not being done. And talking to the point around awareness, we realize we need to become thought leaders. We need to evangelize parent training. Yes, and yeah, build
Yeah.
awareness so it can be done at scale and drive that impact.
Amazing, amazing. So, walk us through the technology. What's the platform about and how it's being used today?
Okay, yeah. So currently, I say currently because we have lots of plans. It's a mobile app. We call it a parent companion app.
Mhm.
Where there's some basic profiling being done in the onboarding of the child and the parent to kind of just determine what's the best content we can deliver to them. Um, and this app basically consists of a content library, like think Netflix, but content all there to equip the parent with, and much shorter. Um, then it also consists of a bunch of collaborative tracking tools. So there are like journaling that the parents can use. They can invite teachers, other parents, other caregivers, even their therapists onto the care team of the child if they want to share information there. The clinicians or care providers don't have to use the tool to make it useful, but we find some of them out there like using it. It works very much more closer with their parents. Um, and then there's also just some routine management, helping them with medication reminders, with activities, things like that. And what's interesting, all of that data it gives us that, if you think of a typical therapy session, there's the listen aspect, the therapist listening to
Yeah.
the patient. It provides us that listen aspect. So we get that constant flow of where's the child at, where's the parent at, and that feedback loop allows us to really personalize what we recommend. So within this app, there would then be recommendations. Watch this video. There would be a reaction on the journal entry. Yeah, saw from that we use natural language processing there. We saw from that you had a bad day and your son had a meltdown. You know, do this kind of maybe mindfulness thing, and then once they're ready, say, hey, here's a video you can watch to deal next time to use to maybe deal in a better way with the meltdown.
Great, great. So, how are you planning to scale this up? Because I
Mm.
see, there is definitely a need,
Mm.
right? So, what's the overall scaling plan uh, in terms of both functionalities or modules that you will be adding, and in terms of the geographies that you want to reach out?
So first, I'll speak to the technology.
Yeah.
I'm a technologist. Um, what's really exciting this next few months, we are adding wearable integration, uh, parents to get their data. So the things like sleep, physical activity, some of the wearables that also measure stress, those are really good markers to determine where the parent is at without expecting the parent to tell us that. So passive logging of data. It just helps us to personalize the engagement more, to add better value at the right time to the parent. We don't want them to go searching to do long searches to find what they need. We want to tell them, hey, we think this might be good for you now because we saw your stress is increasing or your sleep has been declining. So that's very exciting. And we also going to integrate with electronic health record systems so we can tap into existing assessments on the one hand, but also that our platform can effectively be referred to parents to do the clinical assessments on that's needed for diagnosis. We don't do diagnosis, so the care provider will use our platform, send a link to the parent, they do the assessment. So it already makes it easier for the parent, the whole process. They don't have to fill in paper forms and they're more guided. And also, it gives that data. So we can already start with a baseline and help support them in the long, it's a long journey. So we need a longitudinal side of progress tracking there. On the geographic side, we currently focus primarily on the US market. About 60% of our user base is US, about 20% in South Africa. But our main focus marketing is in the US, and we're planning, and that's part of why we're here. We're actually meeting up with some teams to help us expand our marketing and our PR to parents. And we are also talking to clinics and practices to start using them as acquisition channels because we give a big value add to the clinician, better data for them. They don't have to spend time explaining the basics. They just refer the parent to our content. So it saves them time. And all they have to do is refer us.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So, on the tech side, how are you ensuring, the whole data privacy, the
Hmm.
whole compliance side of things?
So what really helps us now is the previous company I worked for. Um, I was the main software architect there, and we were very strict on data privacy. Um, and that's where I had to figure out all the regulatory and compliance issues of health data, not just USA, but Europe. South Africa has also some of their own regulations. And I got to know that. And when we designed our system now, I took all those learnings and applied it from day one. So we have the HIPAA compliance and GDPR and all of that. We're only using cloud service providers who are compliant. And data that's being used for AI modeling and so on, all the identified, all those checkboxes. Very important to us. We do not have any plans in our revenue model to sell data in any form, anonymized or not. I don't believe in that. We're not building a business to make money from the people's data.
Yeah, yeah. And as gonna come to that, right? So the impact of what you're building, just want to understand that, and if you want to share any success story or any incident that made you think that you are doing the right thing.
Yes. So the impact really is kind of twofold. We want to reduce stress and anxiety for the parent, and we want to improve the health outcomes of the child.
Amazing.
So that's a summary. I mean, children sometimes now have waiting periods of even up to a year, some places 2 years before diagnosis. And meantime, they, must maybe go to school, integrate socially. And if there's no intervention at that point, it has a severe effect, negative effect on years in their life. So why we can provide that equip the parent to deal with that pre-diagnosis phase. So massive impact there that we're seeing. And the other one, and this is where the story comes in, the one of the moments where the parents are in the most, deepest possible pit. And this was also with me the case with when we talk to somebody about my daughter's anxiety and that diagnosis, you're then at the kind of most vulnerable as a parent. You're overwhelmed. You don't know what next. There's all this advice. You go Google. There's everything is conflicting. Everything out there seems expensive, out of pocket, not covered by your health insurance. Um, and that's really where what we bring to the table and the content to both support a parent and equip them, where that adds a lot of value. And just give an example. Recently, an old colleague of mine, I used to do some work years ago in Germany, and he saw a LinkedIn article, so about 2 months ago or so, and he responded on that. His son, the oldest son, has just been diagnosed with ADHD, quite high on the hyperactivity side, and they are totally overwhelmed. The German healthcare system, which is a good system,
Yeah.
but still they're not getting the kind of support they need. There was no equipping them with the kind of information they need. Um, so I pointed him to Tracto. Tracto is the name of our app, and told him, listen, go and have a look at that content. Fill in those onboarding because then we can give you the right content. And he had a look and he actually responded saying, listen, this is really helping them a lot. They have a bit more options now of how they must think about it. A big thing that specifically worried them was the stigma.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stigma still around
Yeah.
things like ADHD and autism. Social integration. A lot of families we talk to are social outcasts.
Yeah.
Can I tell another story on that?
Sure. Yeah.
So we are rolling out a community feature where parents can support each other. Obviously, a chat feature within the app, just text chat, but in a safe space with some moderation. Why we're doing this is we actually did pilots. We considered doing group therapy sessions with like real therapists as part of our offering. Uh, we in the meantime decided against that, but um, we did some early pilots in the US with groups of parents. And the most valuable thing that came from that, so we had therapists there to do coaching, but most of the sessions actually ended up parents giving advice to each other.
Yeah.
And parents just knowing there are others like me. So it breaks that social isolation that they've been experiencing. And that's where we decided this last pilot ended in December. We decided we're building out this community. How can we do that in an easy way within our platform? Provide that community and that support. Um, and that was from this real story. And many parents we talk to are socially isolated. Their parents, their children are seen as problem children, the old stigmas,
Yeah.
not being invited anymore to get-togethers. We're hoping to change that. Part of what this is doing is building awareness and breaking down those stigmas.
Amazing. No, and I think this would play a very crucial role. I feel because they could share their own experiences,
Exactly.
learn from each other. Because all said and done, of course, the therapist is an expert, but when you see a person just like you experiencing the same thing and get to learn from them, that's a whole different game.
Exactly.
Amazing.
You touched on an interesting point there, and it's good to clarify that. The name of our company, Augmental,
Yeah.
we're not here. We don't think we can replace therapists
Yeah.
or clinicians. That's not the role. We are aware of how overwhelmed they are. They are not enough. They all overworked. So we're there to augment them.
Yes.
So, to make the interactions they do have more human.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, coming to my last question, right? So, what's the main purpose of mental, and where do you think it's going? Where do you want it to go?
Yo, that's a good one. Where I wanted to go, let me start there. I want 5 years, or if I'm, really going for it 3 years from now, that parents first go to our platform to get input before they go Google.
Awesome.
I think that's a nice concrete way. What we want to achieve is really just overall improve that mental well-being of the family unit. So, I mean, in our longer term roadmap, we're looking at how do we work directly with teenagers, for example, and so on. And that's what we're about. Families need it. I mean, we all know of things that are happening, and a lot of that's related to families having mental health, and not necessarily mental health condition,
Yeah.
but just there are so much pressure on families these days. You know, yeah, massive impact that we can have.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Aman, for sharing all these insights. You are doing amazing work. I hope you get to reach where you are planning to go. Thank you for joining us today. Just waving to everybody who's seeing us. I hope you guys learn a little more about the whole mental health space.
Thank you. Thanks, Lucy. It was really great
Awesome.
being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.